we're gonna do the short version first, which is I got divorced and became a single mother. Okay, the long version is since about 16 maybe, I never wanted to have kids. Like I never wanted to bear a child because I heard the things that can go wrong during delivery. And I was like, oh yeah, no, we're just not gonna do that. We'll adopt or something. I really love the movie Baby Boomer. I think it's Baby Boomer with Keaton. Her first name is not coming to me. Anyway, love that movie, and I love the idea of a child just appearing in my life. So I joined the military, and I was 21, turned 22 in boot camp, and I had my first pap smear. And she told me, my very, very first pap smear, just said, you know, you look fine, nothing wrong. But my uterus shape was different, and if I wanted a kid, I would probably have to seek a specialist to have the baby. I was like, whatever, I'm 22, no big deal. So the next year I had my first non-boot camp pap smear, which is slightly less rushed than the boot camp version. You know, he did the test, he left, I got dressed, he came back in, and he's like, it's not horrible news, but I just wanted you to know that the chances of your carrying a baby full term is really not likely, and you might, you know, be bedridden or something. Like, it was basically telling, like what I heard, my translation was, I'm not gonna be able to have kids. And I remember at the time thinking, well, good. Like if God was gonna create a woman who cannot have babies, it should be me, because I don't wanna get pregnant. I don't wanna carry a baby. And so I wasn't upset, but it was just something I was like, okay, cool. Not something I can do. Time went on, and every single year, and I've transferred to different states, different countries, and all of my doctors, and these are all general practitioners. None of them are specializing in fertility or childbirth or any of that. But all of these general doctors are telling me, literally, with like, you know, they're terrified to tell me. You can tell they're worried, and I'm like, so long as you don't tell me anything worse than I've heard before, we'll be okay. But they all tell me it's either gonna be highly unlikely or it's gonna be a difficult pregnancy. Like bedridden was said in at least half of these talks. And every time I took it really well. Like I was like, cool. I still don't wanna have a kid. I was very work oriented. And so my goal was to stay in the military for 40 years. And I knew that would be difficult with a kid. And I just thought, it's fine. So fast forward, I had never had, I would say, a serious relationship with a guy because I never met someone that I thought was husband/father worthy, right? Like raise your hand if you've met a lot of great guys, but at the end of the day, you're like, I just can't see raising a family together. So when I was 29, I met my future husband. And I remember thinking, this sounds a little insulting to him, so I want you to know that is not my intention, it is not my thought, but I definitely remember thinking, here is a really great guy, really fun guy, who I think doesn't want to be a father again. He had a child from a previous marriage, but that was the vibe I got, is he didn't really want more kids. And I told him, I was like, I've been told I can't have kids, so if that's important to you, this is not us. So he seemed supportive of that. And I remember thinking, why am I looking for a father figure when I can't have kids? Like, why am I doing that? So long story short, we got married. Long story shorter, I got pregnant. Of course, as soon as I got my gynecologist, I said, hey, I need you to tell me today. I need you to tell me right now that I have a high chance for a miscarriage, or that I need you to tell me now that I'm gonna be a mom or not, because I was at that border. Like the day before I found out I was pregnant, I had no, if you had asked me, do you want to become a mother? I'm like, no. I married this man and I started this life with the assumption that I couldn't have kids. And then my husband joked with me, I was getting sick, and he was like, you're pregnant. So I took a pregnancy test to prove him wrong. He was right. And there was that moment of this pause in my head where I thought, okay, pregnant doesn't always mean baby. So had my appointment and talked to now for the first time an actual gynecologist. And he told me that yes, I have a slightly, I guess, oddly located uterus, but that he sees no reason why I won't be able to carry full term. He sees no indication that I will be bedridden. Obviously, he's like, we're totally, you're gonna come in and be checked all the time. So we'll assess, and I will absolutely tell you the second I think those numbers are different. But right now, we see no reason for a full birth. And I'll tell you that the only, I guess, weird thing, or it seemed weird in my memory of pregnancy, is I barely felt my son moving. There were like, I think the first time I heard his heartbeat once when he was super young in terms of in the womb. And then, yeah, like I don't know, he was a month, I guess. This kid was a month conceived. Anyway, he was in my tummy for a month, right? I was a month pregnant, and I heard his heartbeat. I think, did I hear his heartbeat? I don't even know. So yeah, so I heard his heartbeat once. I don't remember which month it was, but it was early in the pregnancy, and then we didn't hear his heartbeat anymore. And my doctor, again, he was very new. I'm like, so, but the baby is growing? Yes. The organ, like when they do the ultrasound and all that, the organs are growing, like right? As time went on, they saw that he was developing. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna chuck it up to, I have a really strong heartbeat. And again, this is totally unscientific. That's not how this works, I don't think. But again, in my mind, here's what I knew in my heart is, if I panic, if I believe that my child is in danger, my baby is in danger, then I felt that that the panic would cause a problem. So it was super important to me that I remain calm. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, you can't hear the heartbeat. Technology is not so advanced that you can hear everything, and my kid is growing, so we must be good. I also didn't feel him moving very often at all. Again, another flag where some people might freak out. But I literally just kept telling myself, nothing weird is happening. I'm not in pain. I am nauseous, but I'm not in pain, and I'm growing. And so this kid, I was pretty confident was going to be born. Anyway, time goes on, and of course I have my son, 38 weeks. I did end up having an emergency C-section because as I was pushing, his heart rate went super low, and they were very worried that he would not make the delivery. So they ended up doing an emergency C-section. But aside from that, in my mind at least, that's a normal birth. And that's how I became a mother. I was married at this time. So how did I become a single mother? Well, it's because really from that day, from his birth until we divorced, I noticed that my husband at the time, I changed super dramatically becoming a mother. And part of it is because I had no plans of being a mother, so I've never prepped to become a mother. So being a mother, I changed dramatically. Like my priority list shifted so much that I changed a lot and my husband did not. And I think especially at that moment, it made no sense to me that he didn't change. Now, granted, this is a man who already had a son. So he had already changed however he was gonna change, if that makes sense, to becoming a father. He was not becoming a new father, he was just getting another child. So in theory, I knew all this before getting married, before having my son. But his lack of change was something that I could not handle. Like it made no sense to me. I didn't know how to work with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. And so then the fighting started happening, and I tend to speak my mind very quickly. So he knew that I changed. He knew that I noticed his lack of change. He knew that that was a problem for me. And so the arguments, if that makes sense, started to happen at that point. So yeah, so by the time Alex was, we were quiet arguers, yes. We were super good. Again, and he understood this as well. He, just as myself, understood that yelling in front of our kid was a horrible idea. And, well, now I do, but you can handle it now. Anywho, long story short, we got divorced. So yeah, so that's how I became a single mother. Alex does still see his dad at least once a year. This year's kind of a weird year just with the pandemic, but normally once a year he does see his dad. They do also talk on the phone, text, all that jazz. So they don't talk every day at all just because, I don't know, men, they don't always talk. But Alex does have a relationship with his dad. Alex, do you think you have a good relationship with your dad?
Good enough.
A good enough relationship with his dad. In a perfect world, would you live near your dad to where you can see him most of the time? Yep. So anyway, that's how I became a single mother. And a lot of people ask me if I'm going to get married again, if I'm going to, you know, I'm not. There's no way. Like, looking back, an argument can be made that I should have never married my husband. I'm, of course, super glad that I did because I got Alex out of the deal, which is a huge, huge deal. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not a marriage type of person. I can't think of a personality type in terms of a soulmate that I would want to be with for the rest of my life. So yeah, I don't see marriage, for sure not in the near future. Like when I'm 80, I might get married again. I don't know, but I have no desire to partner up with anyone for a long time. Anyway, that's our story for how I became a single mother. And I think that's it. If you've got questions, comments, I am happy to answer. But yeah, very grateful for the relationship we have now that the divorce is over. Look at this good looking kid. Okay, so when we order from Rappi or Uber Eats, they are not allowed to like hand the food over to you. So what they do is they leave it at your door. And the cool thing is, because my door is kind of hidden actually, I put a green bag on my door so that they know which one it is. I'm wearing my son's shoes. Now, riddle me this, how am I able to fit in my kid's shoe? Jungle gym in my house. We are making stovetop oatmeal.
And it's totally cray-cray.
And I don't have quite the quantity of ingredients, so I am, you know, and I don't have a measuring cup, so I'm using this guy, who I'm calling a cup. But again, I'm also adjusting the quantity, so we're gonna see. Okay, so I ended up having to add all this flour to make it thicken because it was super liquidy. And you're supposed to let it dry on like a baking rack, but I don't have one of those either, so I'm gonna just let it like cool off in this. Notice my spilled oats because life. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's definitely smelling chocolatey. So we'll see. I'm just trying to take a nap. And these two jump on me.
The dog didn't jump on here.
The boy let the dog jump on here.
No, I put him up here. Woof.
Rough life.
Woof.
Get it? Rough life.